Hello, welcome. Another episode of A Podcast. And today I'd like to welcome Ree, the owner, CEO, but I'm not sure what other titles and hats you wear within the startup scene at Event Camp here. But we came across an introduction from a mutual friend here that was working with you on the team and very excited about what you're doing. And after last week and since we met, I've been equally excited to get on the podcast and following more of the journey. So Ree, welcome. And thanks for making time to be on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Steve. Really great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. And you know what? That's, I guess, my quick intro on me and you so far. Why don't you tell the listener a little bit about yourself and maybe start off with how you got started on Event Camp? I found the story very interesting myself, and I'm sure others will as well.
Sure. Dion, I'm the founder and CEO of Event Camp. I always like to joke with my staff that just because I'm the boss, that doesn't mean I'm in charge. I came about Event Camp in a bit of a unique way. I was a 20-year government employee. Decided at the tender age of 40 that I just wanted to try something new. And so I bought a company. I bought an event management company in 2016. And from there, did a lot of investigating, did a lot of research in terms of the online registration tools that were available to event management companies like mine. Didn't really like anything that was out there. And so I just decided to build my own platform. And the platform sort of tackles a lot of financial, administrative, and logistical issues that event managers go through on a daily basis. Really time-consuming stuff, really heavy laden on the personnel side. And so the online registration platform that we built sort of tackles and addresses a lot of those issues so that a lot of the systems and reports and interactions that we have with our sponsors, our trade show people, our golfers, our delegates, our gala goers, is all automated so that the event manager can really focus on the client and not so much on the administrative part of planning an event.
Awesome. I think a big thing to uncover here today and part of the storyline that is, we'll call it the path less traveled, maybe, sure, in terms of making that jump. Because I think specifically, in our home residential area here in Winnipeg, and we have some guests on from different parts of the States and Canada, but I would say it's a pretty common path to be in government. You have usually some good opportunities if you've been successful in growing your own career. I'm sure that you were. And then you're kind of looking at more of a calendar or like the countdown, and maybe you got to that point. Maybe that's part of the story, right? You're like, okay, I can see the next 10 steps here. But maybe I should throw that to you and ask you if that is the case, but I'm kind of putting that together. That was maybe the situation. Then it's like, hey, like I can't do this for another X number of years. I need more out of this situation because there's, a lot of positives from roles. And I talk about this in a very healthy way too. Jobs are great. A lot of security usually within them, and you can learn a lot from doing them. You have a place to go every day, and there's not as much stress as maybe you have as the owner, but not as much freedom either. So it's definitely that balance being the situation there. But what was kind of the situation where this happened in 2016 for you?
Yeah, definitely. So working for the government it's a really great gig. The pay is great. The benefits are great. If you're in a great department, it can be fulfilling. Creeping on, 20 years, I was starting to really kind of scratch the walls in terms of wondering whether there was something else in the world that I could possibly be doing. I'm a pretty creative guy. Not the smartest guy in the room. Never should you ever be, though. And so when I was looking at a transition out of government, a lot of it revolved around the fact that I'd become a father in 2012. And that's something that I'd always wanted to become. It's something that finally, when I was here and parenting, I was thinking a lot about all the daylight that I was burning sitting in a cubicle or in an office in a government. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I figured at the time that just wasn't something that I wanted to do. My dad was a contractor. He was self-employed for 40 years. And my memories of growing up were that my dad could come and go as he pleased. And so because he had his own jobs as a contractor, because he could decide which clients he was going to work with, we saw him during the day. He would take time off work and he'd take us to the dentist appointment, or he'd just take us out of school just for an afternoon just to play.
Right.
And you have to understand something about my dad. He's Superman. He's just absolutely the greatest guy you'll ever meet. And so, of course, I want to emulate that. Couldn't really do that with a government job, the 9 to 5, and the regular grind. And
Right.
so, a lot of that sort of stemmed from I'm a dad now, want to come and go as I please. And I kind of dubbed kind of the philosophy of my company is really that I just want to do cool shit with cool people every single day. And so a lot of that in government that can happen, but sometimes you don't always get to choose who you work with. And so
Right.
in the private sector, as you know, it's a little bit different. If you don't like employees, then they don't have to stick around. If you don't like clients, you don't have to keep working with them. You hustle a little bit harder to get that next client that you do want to work with, and or the partners. We mentioned our mutual partner. He's a case in
Yeah.
he's a guy who fell into my life, decided it, and he hasn't let
Yep.
me rest since. So it's like he definitely falls in the cool shit, cool people category. And
100%. Yep.
I kind of joked on a LinkedIn post about a few days ago where I was, I'm 24/7 now as opposed to 9 to 5, but I'm happier for it, right? I'm motivated. I'm excited about the work that I do every single day.
Yep.
Um, and I get to come and go as I please. So for entrepreneurs or people who are sort of scared to take that leap, I would say it's never too late. I was 40 when I left government, and the excitement of getting up every single day and going, "What do I want to do today?" Is just absolutely priceless. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. So my whole philosophy is I want to
Yep.
live as much as I can now, doing what I want to do, and every day is just a blast.
That's awesome. I really like that a lot. That's and shout out to a mutual friend, Marcus. If we didn't say that already on here, he'll get a soundbite in here saying, "Hey, Marcus." So I think that is a great uh, intro segue to share like that story. And so let's go back a little bit in time here, if that's okay. We'll go 2016 to now. While we're creeping up on that being, is it 9 years?
Yeah, 8 years.
9 years? 8 years? 8 years? Yeah. Okay. Close to 9. I'm like, math is tough today, apparently. Okay. 8 years. I was going a little ahead thinking with the year change coming up. So 8 years, maybe walk through a little bit of that storyline, whatever is prudent to share about the company that makes sense. But, you go from, which I think is a great strategy for company too, is not always to go for the startup, but go for an existing company.
Yeah.
You have some business coming in. It's maybe you want to change a lot of stuff or a little bit of stuff, or maybe it's running fine.
Yeah.
And it comes in those situations. I've looked at both. I've done more of the startup thing from ground zero, but I can see a ton of upside from doing that. So over the 8 years, like what's happened? What was it like when you started? And maybe we'll segue into where we're at now.
Yeah, I have to back up from 2016 and say that the process of transitioning from government to the private sector was a 2-year process.
Okay.
And that process involved surrounding myself with a really tight circle of influence. So the one thing that I would say about, transition is that you have to be self-aware. You have to understand what you're really good at and what your strengths are. And more importantly, you have to understand where your weaknesses are and who you can surround yourself with to really fill those gaps. And so my process in 2013 was I want to buy this company, I want to leave government, and how do I do that in a safe and secure way? Because government does provide securities, it does provide stability. And
Mm-hmm.
so the first thing that I did was I reached out to one of my best friends. He's a CFO, and now he's the managing partner of a local accounting firm. And he put me through the paces with regards to knowing where my weaknesses are and really making me study in terms of what it means to own a business. It's not a paycheck anymore that's steady and consistent and always there. And so that process alone took probably about a year and a half. And then when it was decided that I was ready to actually tackle this, we started in on the negotiations for buying the event management firm that had a really great reputation. It was really fantastic. It had a steady income stream. One of the things that my best friend or my CFO at the time had suggested was, what happens if events dry up and you need other verticals? So he really got me thinking about, you can't just rely on this one company, which is
Yeah.
really what inspired me to start thinking about online registration and having the ability to create another vertical in a meaningful way that really helps service people. And so, the likelihood of events drying up is 0 to none. And then of course, COVID hits in 2020 and there's his point in case, right? So,
Totally.
so the process, I would say, in the first couple of years, even before I bought the company, was really surrounding yourself with good people and people who will challenge you and say, have you thought about this? Are you thinking about this? Not to be Debbie Downers or not to be negative, but definitely to sort of sober second thought, give you
Yeah.
ideas about how to move forward.
Yep.
So, after the money, it was the lawyer, and after the lawyer, it was the insurance company. After the insurance company, it was the banks. And so all of those things are in play. And when you've got a strong advisory committee or good friends to advise you, the risk is really mitigated at that point. So when I finally turned in when I pre-tired from government in January 2016, I had my going away party. It was great. It was at 10 and they said, great, you're going to take the rest of the week off. I said, I got to get to work. I've got a company to run. And so an hour later I was at the office and, starting work right away.
That's awesome.
So, we hit the ground running in 2016. We actually increased our sales by 30% from the highest of any event or any year that they had in that event management company. And then it was just grow. Cool. And then COVID. In that time when I was actually taking over that company, we had actually sought the opportunity to build Event Camp based on an event that I had been hosting that was really labor intensive, really administratively heavy. So I approached the client and I said, we used one of my competitive softwares. This was really difficult. This was really not fun to do. I said, what if we built our own software? And they agreed. They helped fund it. And then
awesome.
And then 5 years later, Event Camp is more than I could actually have imagined, because the people that we started adding on had seen more potential in Event Camp than what I thought it could be. And that's kind of to my point about not being the smartest in the room, or
Totally.
not even being the only boss in your own company. Is there's leadership at every level where my developers will say, present an idea on a vision, and I'll say, I think Event Camp should do this, and it's A, B, and C. And they take it away as a team, and then they come back to me a day later. They go, we think that's really cute, but actually, the technology is actually this, and you can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can do it in half the time of your ABC. So, really surrounding yourself with creative, intelligent developers who are not afraid to take risks, definitely who are not even afraid to say, boss, I don't think that's a good idea, or, let's prioritize and do these things because what you're asking us to do is actually going to lead into this 10 steps down the road. I think I can think ahead. I'm an event planner, but this development team is just off the charts, crazy good, because they're challenging me in the healthiest of ways, just to say, the technology is way ahead of you. You're not
right.
I'm actually not imagining big enough in terms of what's out
what
there.
You can do.
So they're there.
Yeah, that's really cool. I do work, or even part of my team on the marketing thing. Surprised me this week and weeks prior to with similar style things. Just some tools that are out there. Sure, you come across. This is probably what similar stuff, but different like systems that exist out there that companies have made, and you can use those part of tools to integrate into your own work to benefit other folks, to make flow easier. Without being too vague, without me sharing the screen, there's really no point in me getting deeper on that one. But there's just a lot of stuff out there that when you see it, you're like, oh, that's what, like, probably 10 other people had mentioned something about that in general, and you're like, that's what they meant. And then it becomes way more clear afterwards about, okay, that is very doable. It makes a lot of sense now.
So the devs that the team of devs that we have on board right now are fantastic. They're bar none. The original thing, or I'd say the more specific thing about Event Camp is that we actually listen to our clients. We actually listen to those who use our software on a regular. And every time I'm talking with them, they're saying, it'd be really great if Event Camp could do this. And it's something that actually makes sense, and that it doesn't overly complicate a flow or a process for purchase or registration, then we build it. And then we follow up with that exact individual, and we're saying, hey, Steve, you mentioned this thing 3 weeks ago. I just want to let you know, log in and check it out, because that's your idea. That comes from.
That's cool. So that makes it really sticky. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
So, then they're not going anywhere. For sure, right? Client retention. Like, I mean, when you start doing stuff like that, I mean, it comes off as you wanting to develop stuff and learning from your folks, but that's a two-way road where, they're stuck. That's awesome.
Well, buy-in is a really is a cornerstone of our company, and it's at every single level. So, our
Yeah.
administrative staff, our project managers, our on-site registration staff, our clients especially, they're just, I mean, if I told you, Steve, I'd love it if you could do this on your podcast, and then a week later you've actually done it, what's that feeling that you get when, hey, somebody actually heard me and actually considered what I had suggested and implemented it? And we do that on the regular. We've got a year's worth of projects just from client feedback alone.
Yeah. That's cool. What's one of the biggest ones that was an improvement that sticks out for you, that you're like, someone suggested this and we did this and it was game changer style?
Every online registration something will tell you that the checkout process is probably the most difficult to actually nail down. And there's thousands and tens of thousands of pages of research in terms of what the psychology of a person's purchasing habits are. And I kind of have to put a shout out to Amazon, because Amazon's kind of got it right. Like, you stay logged in, you're buying things, the algorithms are crazy in Amazon, but they, when you get to that final, I've selected these items, and there's a swipe bar at the bottom that says buy now, that simplifies people's lives, right? It's just, you don't want to go through account creation. You don't want to go through 4 steps or 5 steps of a checkout. So one of the, to your question, one of my clients, and we struggled with this for years, until one of our clients said, what if it just looked like this? And it was the simplest, absolutely most ridiculously easy process. And so we took it to the chalkboard, we had it redesigned, and then our developers just implemented that exact process. And it's the way that it is to this day. So it's awesome. With EventCamp, there are 3 categories of purchases. You can buy sponsorship packages like gold, silver, bronze. You can buy, secondary packages like golf foursomes or trade show booths or whatever. And then you can buy individual tickets. So just tickets for individual people. And our current checkout flow now allows you to select from each one of those categories into one checkout process, so that everything shows up on one receipt. Just like if you go to Safeway or Sobeys, or if you go to Amazon, it's just bundle it up for me, add it to my account, and then just let me pay and get on with my day. So that's probably the most revolutionary, is that we have a 3-tiered purchasing package system that we've simplified to a one-stop shop.
Awesome. Yeah. I know that we talked on our call prior to this, we broke that down a little bit more. Could you do that for a listener here to understand that more in detail about that? Because when you guys went through, kind of, it was like buying like you'll word it better. I'll try though here, but like, it was like gala ticket, and then you had like other tickets, or like what you just, I guess, a little bit there, sponsorship for the event if you wanted to participate in that. And then I feel like there was a third thing though.
Yeah, imagine the most complicated trade show with an academic conference that you can imagine. So, at one end of the convention center, there's 300 booths. And then on the other end of the convention center, you've got rooms for breakout sessions for keynote speakers and other speakers as that goes along. Mm-hmm. Usually with a trade show like that, there are levels of sponsorship that include elements of the event itself. So, platinum sponsors, and then gold sponsors, and then exhibitors, and then attendees. Those are who are actually there to talk to the sponsors, talk to the trade show people, and just attend the conference to go see the keynote speakers and the other speakers. So what EventCamp does is we bundle all of that into a one-stop shop experience, so that if you're buying a $20,000 platinum sponsorship and it's got 2 booths and it's got 4 conference passes and then 4 banquet tickets and then it's got different sponsorship entitlements, EventCamp bundles all of that into one package, so that when you buy that platinum sponsorship package, everything gets added to your dashboard. So you've got your 2 booths, you got your 4 tickets, you got your 4 banquet tickets, and then from there you can register the individuals. Because our experience in event management is you can buy a platinum sponsorship 6 months before the event, but you have absolutely no idea who's going just yet. But you need to reserve your spot because you need to send people eventually. So Event Camp gives the purchaser the ability to go back in, register people at their leisure, go back in and say, Steve, you're not coming anymore because you won the lottery and you're out of here and you're not working at this company anymore. So, Steve's ticket was
That's too funny.
3 months ago, and now Marcus is in Steve's place. Well, the purchase or the sponsorship purchaser gets to change all of that in the system. So that kind of really alleviates the event manager's administrative functions. So instead of saying, hey, it's not Steve anymore, it's Marcus, can you go in and change it? And we're like, actually log in and change it yourself. Like you own this data, you own everything about it, and you can review that information anytime you want. So the 4 main categories from our experience in event management are trade shows are massive because you're dealing with a lot of people and a lot of layers of sponsorship and trade show. And then the other categories are conferences in general, just academic, and then golf tournaments and gala dinners. So, gala dinners, you want to buy a table of 10, buy a table of 10, and then tell us who the 10 people are coming, a week before the event.
Right. Actually, I know it's just pulled up here, and listener, if you've been here a couple of times, you know that I'm looking at the website for reference to what guide us through here. And at the top, super easy to guide through here. We have types of events, and I just clicked on trade shows for reference. I had a question pop in my head, and I just wanted to see if there was something on here right away. But a common thing in my journey of going to trade shows is often when I have actually literally hanging on my doorknob. I don't want to hop off screen here, but I have it seems like a metal rack of success, but really it's just a bunch of name tags from different events and stuff like that. Do you guys supply those for the events too, or what does that look like, without getting too in the weeds if it's something you guys don't do? So sorry putting me on the spot, but what I mean? What are they called? Like the little
name tags?
Yeah, I guess name tags or passes, I guess, right? Because some of them scan in or whatever. But do you guys do that too? Because I think you have like banquet tickets on here and other stuff, or is it on the app? Is all on the phone that side?
Yeah. So everyone who registers a sponsorship package gets a QR code that links to their website so that they can use that QR code to publish at their booth if they don't know where else to generate a QR code. Right. Every individual who registered also gets a QR code, and that QR code gets imprinted on a name tag, and EventCamp generates that name tag. So EventCamp is a software, and I'm also an event management company. So I'm actually my best client because I use the software.
You got the two going on.
And so so on the software side, EventCamp takes care of all that auto-generated name tag preparation if the event manager doesn't have that ability. What EventCamp can also do is we can connect with event managers from all over North America, and we can just say, listen, we'll design your name tag for you. Tell us if it's a 4x3 or a 6x8 or a 6x4, and we'll design it for you. And then if they say that's great, we'll also print and ship from Winnipeg. So as long as the design is approved by the event manager in Nashville, we'll print the name tags, we'll send them down, and then they can do their own QR scanning through the system to track delegate registration. Either it's a one-off, like a concert ticket where the ticket is consumed and can no longer be used, or you're tracking delegate movement throughout the event, and you're like, okay, Steve was at registration at 8:45, and then Steve checked into breakout session room A because that's an accredited room, and we needed to know that Steven was in the room at the time. So
cool.
We actually have a QR system where that information is collated, and then we share that in reports to our clients to say, yep, Steven is accredited because he entered the room at 10:01 and then he actually scanned out at 10:55, and therefore he was in that room consuming the knowledge of that particular speaker. So Steve gets his accreditation papers. We've actually had people who had scanned in and then didn't scan out and then didn't get their accreditations because we don't know if they snuck out or not, or we couldn't track their movements because Steve didn't check out.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's I haven't thought about something like that in a long time. We used to have that in agriculture. There used to be this course I used to have to take. Yes, CS. What is it called?
There's the CCAs and the CEUs.
Yeah. I forget which one I had to do, but it was a while ago. So my headphones is disconnected here. We'll get them back in. But yeah, it was pretty neat to, well, I mean, we just had to like sit there for the whole time, but it would be neat to have that kind of technology and then proof of doing it. Yeah, on that side of things. So that's fantastic that you guys have managed that along with like the ticket side. Seems like it is the total package. No pun intended. And as I'm looking at the here, it's just because I mean, from what I see here, and then maybe I know it's something that we're going to talk about today too, but conferences, galas, golf tournaments, and then trade shows listed on here, and just like the ultimate image here as well of, the traditional looking check-in
Yeah.
station at somewhere at, I'm sure this is one of your guys' events here,
Yeah.
that's displayed, but just a really cool way to run that.
Yeah.
It's something that, in certain industries only happens once a year. But if everyone has those, and then a few of those things are running multiple times a year, especially in the States that you just mentioned, like Nashville, some of the bigger
Yeah.
events that I've been at have been in Orlando, I think was one of the bigger ones that I've ever been at. We also had one in an egg company I was with before, based out of Omaha. It was an internal event, but we definitely would have been utilizing a company like yours.
Yeah.
Maybe it was you. I have no idea. I wasn't at that. I wasn't at that part of the company, but
Yeah.
it's just a very different scale of thinking versus we do have local trade shows here, which is lovely. And maybe some folks do utilize your technology there. We're talking like 15, 20,000 people,
Yeah.
at an event where you're or and upwards. Some of them are like 30, 40, 50, whatever it is. One's in Vegas. I guess one in Vegas was pretty big too. About a year ago, I went to, and yeah, it's just a different scale. But you got the name tag, scan in, scan out. I didn't even think of that side of it in terms of like, hey, like you are, because we all had an app from there in terms of connecting and scanning QR codes, which is great for sharing, data efficiently. And then they get you on the app using that. So very cool.
We actually also have, so I mentioned the layers, sponsors, trade show, delegates within event camp, because everyone's got their own generated QR codes. There's lead generation that happens within the app itself, where someone who is at a booth who may want to scan someone's QR code instead of, here's my business card, or, can I text you? Sometimes they can just scan that individual's QR code, and then their lead generation actually gets tracked at that particular booth. So I'll give you an example. We're hosting an expo in May of 2024, and we've got one school that's sending out 10 different departments over 20 different booths. You're going to have carpentry at one booth, and you're going to have graphic design at the other one, and you're going to have metals at the other one. So whoever's at the wood shop scans QR codes for those students or those career prospects who are interested in carpentry. And so they scan that QR code. So when they get back to the office, they don't get a massive database of students who attended that particular school at those 20 booths. They can actually just reach out to those maybe 20 students who expressed an interest in carpentry and just say, hey, Steve, I scanned you in at the carpentry booth at this expo in May. Are you interested? And like, as a matter of fact, I am. So it's really targeted lead generation to the point of, micro leads, because then you're really targeting the students that are interested in your particular education or your particular craft. So that applies significantly to our exhibitor base, who just don't want to collect business cards anymore. So we think about,
totally.
We don't just think about the event manager, although it's great that I can build these things for myself so that I can free up my time to do other stuff. But the applications always have to be mutually beneficial to the end users and those who are actually using the software simultaneously. So, if I'm thinking about something, I've got to reach out to those who are going to use it on the other end and say, would you use this if I built it? And they're like, no, Ree, that's stupid. That I would never use that. We have this over here. Or if they're just saying, yeah, as a matter of fact, if you build that, then I don't have to download this third-party app for lead generation anymore because we're already in the system. So that kind of facilitation, or that kind of build it because it's useful, really gives that one-stop shop experience to everyone who's using the software. And so you did mention, yes, in a few weeks, we're launching our new products called Free Camp, which is just a freemium version of Event Camp. It's, register for a birthday party or register for a staff Christmas party, something that doesn't have a fee attached to it is what we're building. So we actually reverse built Event Camp. We should have built it from the ticketing aspect and then gone on. We went the other way around. So now we're going into ticketing, where it's easy checkout. The quick camp is going to be a quick ticketing checkout system. So obviously we'll be competing with a lot of other platforms out there, but our research is deeply embedded in the users who have been using our system for the last 8 years and saying, we're building this. How do you want it to look? And what do you think it should look like? And,
Right.
How would you want to interact with this if we built it? And then in addition to that, we're launching our new app in a couple of weeks too. So everything's kind of converging rather quickly. And, our friend Marcus has something to do with that too, because he's like, we have timelines now. We got to stick to these timelines.
That's good. That's fantastic. And so and then that would be, I guess, like a different section on types of events then, right? That you would have in here. So it'd be, you said it's free camp is kind of like the term that you guys are using for that. Is that right?
Yeah, we have 4 levels right now. So free camp is going to be the free version that everyone can use. No accounts required. Create your event, customize URLs and personalized. And then we've got quick camp, which we'll be launching, which is just tickets, right? You want to go to a conference, you want to go to a baseball game, easy ticketing. Cool. And then event camp, within event camp, we have 3 layers, which are basic registrations, which include things like an agenda or, registering for agenda sessions, tracking those sessions. And then the premium version that we have right now is where you really want to, it's kind of the muscle of event camp. It's the reason we built this system is you're developing and building packages and sponsorship packages and trade show booths so that it's got that one-stop shop experience, giving the purchaser the ability to do whatever they want with that data. And then
very neat.
The next level is called Aurora, and we'll just have to wait for that one. Can't talk more about
it. Good. And something that I was going to ask, but actually I just found it on here. And I think I'd actually seen this before, but I was going to say, if someone's interested in this, and I haven't clicked on this button yet, but there's 3 of them right in front of me. You probably know where this is going, but there's events near you, but it's actually a demo section of conference and trade show, gala dinner, and then maybe this is actually a real event. The other one's here, but it looks like these are like demos that you can look in and see what they look like. Is that what I'm going to get on the other end here?
Cool. Yeah, we set up the demos so that if somebody wants to host a golf tournament, they can see how tournaments are set up. If they wanted to host a trade show, they can go and just check out the landing pages. Anyone who wants to kind of poke around, they can actually kind of muck around and like choose a sponsorship package and choose a trade show booth and choose a ticket. When they get to the checkout page, just don't put your credit card in, just use the invoice me later sort of feature. And then that just allows the end user to see what the experience is about adding tickets and packages to their accounts. And then if it works for them and they're thinking, this is great, all this information is kind of in one place. We get a lot of really great feedback from our trade shows and our conferences where everything is housed in one account. Or if you're a traveling trade show, what you're doing in Manitoba is what's being done in Saskatchewan and Alberta. They're like, well, I bought all my tickets and all my packages and all my trade shows in all these 3 different provinces in the same place, and all my transactions are there, all my receipts are there, and all my tickets are there. So it's
instead of having to go hunt them down, because a lot of the companies, it's like they have that third party, what's it even called? They run the credit cards for you, basically. It's like pretty expensive to have a company, but it's good to have the proof of purchase on a lot of that stuff there. But it would be very nice if you're swiping the company card to have it all in one spot, as you're mentioning.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
I do encourage anybody who wants to poke around and take a look to just go ahead. You're not going to get charged for anything.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome that you have that available on here. It's such a common thing. Like there's different AI tools and things that I look at every day pretty much. It catches me. I'm like, okay, where's the demo for this? I want to see how it works. It's not like a no, I don't want it. It's like I do want it, but I want to see how it works first. Just to, like you mentioned, the user experience on Amazon, everyone's very fluent in that. If you weren't before, you probably are. Now, or even you think of the checkout process even on something like Skip the Dishes or DoorDash or whatever system you're using for ordering stuff, or Domino's Pizza. I think that one is like a loading bar on the screen where you can track the progress of your pizza, and it's become pretty common, in that industry. Like it seems funny to say, but years ago when you used to like call in and place your pizza order, I'd be like, now I'm thinking like, how simple was that? Like, what a stressor. At the time it was just normal and it was good. It was very efficient, but you had no idea where your delivery person was. Now it's like everything's pretty track traced, and
Yeah.
you can literally communicate with them through the app, but
Yeah.
the app lets you know all this stuff ahead of time. Anyways, I'm rambling, but
That's good.
having those things added in, and like what your team is doing for folks when they notice areas of improvement or things that they would see as improvements to the app, or within the software there. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So good. Now, how did you get started with doing golf or golf? I see that in here, golf tournaments and stuff like that. How did that come to be?
Someone reached out to me and said, "I need you to manage my golf tournament."
Okay.
It's a vertical I hadn't even thought of in the past, because
Yeah.
because Event Camp was built on an ag conference trade show involving sponsorship, trade shows, and then tickets. It didn't even dawn on me at the time that Event Camp could be used for other things. And so, other than like registrations for conferences and trade shows, which is the inspiration of the platform. And so somebody reached out to me one day and said, "I think, can you plan my golf tournament?" And I said, "Yeah, actually I can. Do you have sponsorships?" "Yes." "You need golfers?" "Yes." And I said, "Why don't we use the level 2, which is sort of the equivalent of trade shows, and just sell foursomes?" And so now I've actually got a little pamphlet for, prospective golf tournaments who just say, "How would I calculate the math to set up a golf tournament?" So I said, "Yeah, you want to do 36 individual golfers, you want to do 9 foursomes of 4, and then you want to do 72 tickets attached to sponsorships, where it might be like presenting sponsor or a hole sponsor, or a gold sponsor that has a foursome attached to it." And so the math is already done for them. All they have to do is plug in the numbers in their system, and then off they go. We also,
I just think, it's so specific, which is great. But I don't even think of other tournaments that make sense.
So we
in
actually,
that regard. But I think that's awesome. Sorry, just saying something quick there in the chat here, but and you're gonna have like the free version and different things, and I think that's headed down such a great pathway for you guys, because it's going to get people used to it. And then from there, they're going to do other events with you guys, right? That's going to act as like a perfect segue, which is funny because you said that right out of the gates. We should have probably done that first. And you're right. In my mind too, I'm like, yeah, that would make a lot of sense to do that first, get people using it familiar, and then pull them in for the sales side of things, where it is like a larger event or trade show, as far as that goes. So that is very awesome. And something, just thinking dates here, as we were mentioning, like up and coming things that are going on here. And maybe I'll let you dive in a little bit more. I know we have the write up in here too, but what do you guys have coming up for events? I know you guys are kind of planning a couple things here on the other end of things.
Yeah, on the services side, we have an Indigenous event here in Winnipeg at the Fort Garry Hotel, 300 people. Really basic registration, but they still get all the perks of using Event Camp. These people are coming from all over northern Manitoba. They get the QR codes. They get to play around with that kind of technology. It's really great.
Awesome.
We're going to be in Vancouver and in Kelowna in mid-October to talk to new people or new clients who want to use our software for registration. They've never quite seen anything like this before. So any event manager who's looking to reduce their administration and sort of the overhead of registration and managing that, is that Event Camp is a bundling system. So the system takes care of all of that. And then we've got this really great event just kind of out of the gate. It's called Scared Shitless, which is starting the company.
Yes.
That's kind of partnered, or that's kind of Marcus's brainchild with regards to encouraging entrepreneurship at any age, or really showcasing Winnipeg as a place where you can actually start a company. And you've got a guy like me who has zero tech experience. When I got out of the gates for government, I had zero business experience, zero entrepreneurship experience or knowledge. So everything was hit the ground running. But the safety net of the people I talked about earlier, about my circles of influence and those who are kind of cheerleading me on, it was really important. So we're building a week-long, one day a week at the King's Head, 6 to 9. And we're going to have people talking about different aspects of what it means to start a business. And I'll be speaking to one of those days whenever Marcus puts me in there. It's
and I think I'll flip. I think it's on my other screen here a little bit too. It's for like an entire week, right? Like it's like Monday to Friday kind of thing or whatever. I forget the specifics on it.
Monday to Friday, 6 to 9, King's Head, different topics, different presenters, bringing different aspects of, what's
here it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now I pulled up the details on this one, but October 23rd is when it starts. That's the Monday of that week. It's scary following an idea. October 20th, or this is, hopefully it's okay to drop this on the Tuesday. We have another thing there. Scary adopting new technology. Wednesday, it's scary finding people to join you. Definitely agree there. 26th, Thursday, it's scary raising capital in the prairies. 27, it's scary building mental health.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's okay to drop that on here. I don't think we'll have that many listeners at this stage, but it'll be a great thing. So yeah, that last week, basically in October, regretfully, I don't think I'll actually be around to attend this. I just have some other travel booked already now. So it's the problem with running a couple of things. But I think that's awesome that you guys are doing that. And that's going to be run through Event Camp, correct?
Yeah, they can go to eventcamp.ca. In the search bar, they can just type in scared and that event will show up, and then they can just reserve their tickets. It's free to attend. These are sponsored events, and so we don't have to worry about people paying to get in. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
And awesome. Going to be some great speakers, like some really great talks.
Yeah, I didn't dive into that on here. I had a couple names on here, but I just left it with dates. So I'll leave the folks to check that out. It looks like there's tons of great stuff listed off here. And that's probably what you had pasted in the conversation to start off with here. So presenters, we have a few more to be determined, but a couple are listed in here. I think that is absolutely awesome. We'll push that out on the event as well.
Awesome.
For getting some folks out there. Hopefully that's encouraging. I think that's a great event for folks to do, and hopefully maybe some people make it the whole week. I see that on here as one of the things. So I'm going to make it the week. What is it? Unleash the Beast. I'm here the whole week kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome to see with you guys. So what's another way, like I'll list it out, but how do folks get a hold of you or find you guys out there?
Yeah. I'm probably the most approachable, reachable CEO, founder, non-boss there is. People can they can call me, they can text me, they can email me.
Awesome.
Always available and always ready to talk to people.
And in terms of, I'll list off a couple of things here too, just to add to that. Is the website is eventcamp.ca. And then we have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as social medias. I guess that's the core. Are you guys on Twitter at all? Or I don't know, not yet, or maybe not.
On X, we're not.
Or X, yeah, whatever it's called now, yeah.
I'll have to check with Elon on that if you'll let me back on, but it's
nice, a hot topic.
We're not on Twitter. We could be. I should probably.
No, that's okay. Sorry, I was just making sure I got all of them. That wasn't to put any pressure to be on any more things. There's enough going on. You guys run a great page on LinkedIn. I would say follow the company there. Instagram as well. I personally follow you guys there. Facebook, for folks that are still doing that, they can find you on all those, and the usernames there are, I'll just confirm this at, I'm sure it's eventcamp.ca or just eventcamp through those links. Anything else to add in on ways to get a hold of you guys? You're hosting basically these events end of October locally in Winnipeg. You host events across Canada and the United States. And you're making an impact out there in the ticketing side of things, making it easier for folks to connect and streamline that process. Ultimately, I guess is the recap comments.
Easy. It's we gauge the success of how easy our system is to use when we've got a particular demographic that is scared of technology, who actually goes through it and says, that wasn't that hard, or actually that was really easy. We really take a lot of pride in that, just as much as we do from those who are, I wish your system could do this, will you build it? So we really take on both of those aspects and say, how do we make it easier? And I think as technology evolves, it will continue to get easier, but we want to get ahead of that streamlined process. So we're inspired by really amazing technology that's out there, and how can we make ours like theirs? And then we always take it a next step and go, how do we make it even better than that? And so we really push ourselves in terms of challenging our own status quo and saying, yeah, that was great for a while. And how do we make it better?
Cool. And you're rolling with the evolution of the industry. That's great to hear. Very smart.
Yeah.
Not getting stagnant. So I think that's awesome. I think we covered lots today.
Yeah,
And thank
thanks.
you so much for being on. It was great learning about Event Camp and the journey. I heard a little bit on our meeting before about how you got started. We did dive into detail then, but it was great to hear it again and learn about what's coming up with you guys, the software that you created for other companies to be able to use and white label, as well as what you offer in your event planning side of business and what's coming up next. So we will have to revisit this maybe a year down the road and see where things are at then. With you, this was great to have you on, and we look forward to helping you guys promote that event too for the week. We'll make sure to share the episodes and let folks know that that's happening. So
thanks, Steve.
awesome. Thank you so much, Ree. And we'll talk to you soon.
You bet.